Hello everyone and welcome to Our Ventura TV. I'm your host today, Sandra Siepak, and my guest joining us on the show today is Mr. Rick Raives. He is the Public Works Director for the City of Ventura. Welcome to the show, Rick. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sandra. Glad to be here.
This is a really important department for the City of Ventura, and you guys are doing such a really good job. I'd like you to talk about, in an overview fashion, of what your department is responsible for here in the City of Ventura, and some of the things that you do take care of. So let's start there.
Sure. Often we're unsung heroes, and we work sort of behind some of the other city services.
Okay.
You don't see us out in front as much as maybe police and fire and some of the other programs we have. But we have several areas in Public Works. We have our environmental sustainability division, and what we do there is we manage the recycling in the city along with the solid waste, and look at protecting the environment and protecting our waterways and our storm drain system and the flow of poor quality water that might get to the beaches. We also have a transportation division, and we're very much looking at safety, and we look at bike paths and design bike paths and work with our transportation agencies like Gold Coast Transit. We also, in that group, pave our roads and fill our potholes, and also maintain our traffic signals to make them safe. We also have another group that maintains our fleet and facilities, and what that is all the 70 or so public buildings we have at the city. They're out there keeping the lights on and keeping them together, whether we're talking about restrooms at parks or if we're talking about historical buildings like the Olivas Adobe. So they keep those buildings going, and they also provide maintenance for our fleet, and that's all includes all the fire trucks that are on the roads and the construction equipment that's out there, as well as the police vehicles. So we keep them on the road. We also provide graffiti abatement. So when the public areas get hit with graffiti, we'll send a crew out to paint over that. And then lastly, we have a group that delivers our capital projects, our large tens and $20 million worth of projects a year. And they do the design as well as they manage the construction and the contractors of all those things happening within the streets.
That's a lot of responsibility for you. Your job is literally 24/7, I would imagine.
Yes, it certainly is.
And for that, I'm imagining there's a big team effort that goes into your department. Let's talk about some of that. I do feel that certainly you make sure things are flowing in the right direction and things are being done properly, which in this case the city is run very well. Let's talk about some of the team effort that takes place within your department.
And you hit it right there. We have a lot of employees that are very prideful about the work that they do. We have a lot of different types of talent. We have a lot of the field people that very much know how to do construction. We'll have building maintenance folks that have to know everything about building. And then we have engineers and we have surveyors, and they have a very much of an education, technical background to do those things that we need to do. And everybody has a lot of pride in their work. We have a very strong department, and I believe one of the things we've looked at is getting our agency accredited by the American Public Works Association, and that we're only the 15th city within California that has an accredited public works agency, and only the 92nd within North America. And what that is a way to measure how we do our procedures and how we do our work compared to sort of like the national best management practices, and how we should be doing that compared to what are sort of the state of the art and the best ways to use public funding very cost effectively. And so when we get audited, and we got audited a few years ago by the Public Works Association, they look at your city to see how they're doing, and most agencies that they've looked at, they'll determine they have maybe 4 or 5 what they call model practices, those things that you're doing that should be made aware to other public works departments within the nation. That, hey, they're doing an activity that's, whether it's the way they maintain a street or fill a pothole or maintain a vehicle, they're doing it in a way that others should know about and follow this and emulate this because it's such a great way to be cost effective.
Right. So basically you could give other pointers and tips to other city officials out there who may watch you as an example.
Absolutely. Well, when they came and audited our city, they actually found 17 model programs. And so it was 4 times as many with our city that we're already doing now.
Right.
And so that was just another way of showing us of how well we're all working right now together.
Which is really key because the city services are very important to many of the residents and businesses here in the city of Ventura. So if something's out of sync and not working properly, I'm sure you really do hear about it and are aware of it. So when a resident does have a concern or a question, is there a place they can go? Could you give us the website, or is there a place where they can get more information?
Yes, our City of Ventura website, which is www.cityofventura.net, contains a lot of information, a lot more detail about some of our programs and some of the things that residents can do. For example, if a resident wants to go out and repair their own sidewalk or their own curb in front of their house, it shows them or tells them what they need to do to be able to do that.
Okay, that sounds good. I know there's a lot of projects in the works within your Public Works Department. Let's talk maybe just about a few of those and some of the more important ones that you are working on right now.
Well, what makes it very unique for us is the fact that we have to deal with, we're a city that just celebrated its 150th year anniversary. And what that means to a Public Works Department is we've got a lot of very old infrastructure out there that we need to maintain. For example, now we're looking at seeing what it would take to replace the Main Street Bridge, which is a bridge that was built in the early 1900s, crosses over the Ventura River. There have been instances in the past where part of that bridge has collapsed. And so we really do need to take a look at that bridge to see if what it would take to replace that in a way that's protective of the Ventura River, when you come through there and disrupt it by putting in a brand new bridge.
But that's a big project. I mean, that's a main project that would take a lot of time, effort, certainly a lot of planning and money.
Yes, and it would be something that would take several years because there's permits to get. There's also a long process to get the design, and it does take a while to do the construction itself. And it's probably a $20 or $25 million project just to do that alone.
Which is my next question. Your department's really handling all these key services. How is the funding? Does the funding cover everything for everything that you need to do? And what happens when you don't have enough funding?
Well, it does not cover all the funding we need to do because it's not just $20 million bridges we need to do. We need to
do little things.
We need to repair sidewalks. We need to fill potholes. We need to make our streets look better. And we have. And with the type of folks we have in our department, nobody likes to see things look as bad as they do in some cases. And they'd love to be able to make it all look nice. But being a very old city and having a lack of funding to do a lot of these things, it's hard for us to do that. And so what we tell folks when we can't go out and repair a sidewalk because we don't have the funds at this point and they're on the list and we'll get to it, we just tell them that, explain why, and also try to give them an idea when some of these things might occur. An example is years ago when we had a little bit more money for sidewalks, we were probably spending about $400,000 a year maintaining our sidewalks. Right now, we spend about $65,000 a year maintaining our sidewalks. And unfortunately, it's the same kind of funding that we repair sidewalks with that we also, which is our general fund, we also use to pay for police and fire services and some of our other very important programs too. So there's a lot of competing services within the city for that same pot of money.
Which can be a tough thing if you want to get a lot of things done and the funding's cut and you don't have it. And you've got people breathing down your neck, calling your office or asking why isn't this getting done. So that's a lot to maintain. It's a lot to be responsible for.
Yes.
I do want to talk just really briefly about some of the other projects that you have done in the past that are completed and that you're proud of and that you would like people to know about those as well?
Well, it's one of the unique things and one of the really neat things about working in a government public works department are some of the projects that you can take from inception to completion.
Sure.
And some of the things that I've been involved with personally, as well as several of our other staff, is things like developing the community park on the east end,
Okay.
where we started with a farm field, and we've built several stages of that over
Right,
time.
a blank canvas is what you started with.
Right, so there's part of the planning in the beginning
Okay.
that we're involved with, and then also, building an aquatic center, a pool, and the soccer fields. And it's not just what's neat to see and play with when you get out there.
Sure.
It's also what it takes to make it work, like the pipelines under the ground to fill the pool with water, or
Okay.
to empty it out when the water gets bad, and some of those other things. And of course, those are the infrastructure that we work on when we do projects like that.
And the reason I mention some of the past projects is because now those projects that are completed will serve many future generations to come. And that's something that I think in the planning stages, what will work down the road for many of the residents here. And you plan for the future in doing many of these projects.
Excellent.
So I think, we need to give some credit to you and your department for that too. I know Ventura is a very popular place to visit for many people as well who do not live here. Of course, the residents that live here and the businesses that are here certainly are very well accustomed to the city working well and being a great place to live and do business. Many people come here, though, to visit. How do you respond to visitors who like coming here and seeing everything and getting to enjoy being a part of the city?
Well, we listen very closely to visitors,
I'm sure.
and because we do want them to come back
Of
here,
course.
spend their hard-earned money
That's
in our city,
right.
and go to our
That's right.
restaurants and use our facilities. So it's really important what impression they come to us with, and we do listen very closely when they have some concerns, and some of those things can be, it's the graffiti is something we can respond to,
Okay.
or there's trash and there's other things, and my department will actually sort of manage the pickup of some of those areas that might get a lot of trash, or if somebody
Okay.
dumps a couch, we'll get the phone call and we'll arrange to have it
Right.
removed. So we do look at those things to make sure that our city comes across and can shine when it can. Again, we have a 150-year-old city, and so it's been polished a lot, and it's hard to repolish it, but it's a lot of work, but we try to keep up with it.
Well, I do think that, there are expensive challenges. I know that certainly with the city celebrating its 150th birthday, that means a lot to many of you who do make the city what it is. And I think that's a very sense of pride that certainly comes of doing that. I do feel that the maintenance of the historic buildings is also something that should take precedence, because that will be for many, many generations to come as well. Is that something you take a lot of pride in and focus on a lot?
Absolutely, and it's a very unique challenge. For example, the Olivas Adobe I mentioned earlier, that was built in 1850, 1849. Okay. And so a few years ago, we had to take a look at that project and make sure that it withstood an earthquake. So we had to seismically strengthen the building. So how do you look at an old building like that and do seismically strengthen it without making it not look like an old building anymore?
Right.
So we worked with help from a professional consultant to help us look at this, and came up with something that would work.
Well, I must tell you, you're doing a fabulous job with the city. We're very proud of some of the things that you have accomplished already, and many of the things you are going to do in the future. And I want to thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And I'd like to thank all of you for joining us today on Our Ventura TV. I'm your host, Sandra Siepak. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.